Hey, it's Cool Marge back with another video. We're going to talk about what sold over the last couple of days. It's pretty eclectic little grouping, so I wanted to show these items. They're just fun and different. And we'll talk about the costs associated with selling these items and the profit that we realized. I'll do my best to do it from my head, but I'll fill in the actual details, numbers in a graphic later on. So let's just jump right in. Let's start right down here. So we got a book. Now with books, I have moved primarily to antique books, meaning 100 years old or older. This one is not, with few exceptions. Sometimes there are newer books. Now this one's still old, but there are newer books that do have some value. But I have moved my minimum price on books to $20. Between the Postal Service raising rates year after year for the last 4 years or so. Even media mail is getting expensive, and they're considering doing away with media mail, so it's getting increasingly more expensive to ship books. If a book weighs 3 pounds, it can be upwards of $6 to ship. And some people, I don't know how they're doing it. On eBay, there's people still selling books for $4 free shipping. They have to be losing money because the cheapest they could ship it with a little bit going into packaging would be about $3.80. And the fees on a book, and eBay has also raised the fees on books, I think in part because there is so much garbage book out on eBay. I mean, millions of just garbagey books. I don't mean content, I just mean quality of the book. People just don't want that book. There are so many of those on eBay. And what eBay does is if they have too much of a thing, they will raise the fees to the sellers to dissuade sellers from putting too much garbagey stuff out there and flooding the space with things that people just really don't want. And if there's something that eBay wants to sell more of, they'll drop the fees on it. So that makes sense. So they try to give the sellers incentive to sell certain things and not sell other things. All that being said, my minimum sales price now on books is $20, and this one did indeed sell for $20. It is a 1960 copy of To Kill a Mockingbird. It doesn't have the dust jacket. Also had an inscription inside. And be clear when you're selling books to spell all that out and take pictures of any imperfections. But it sold actually very quickly for $20. The fees on it, I think, will probably be about $3.50. Like I said, the fees are pretty high on books. And shipping is going to be another $4-ish. I only have $1 in the book, so I still make maybe about $12 on that copy of To Kill a Mockingbird. This is a Nintendo, this is for the original Nintendo Entertainment System, the NES. It's a Game Genie, which back in the day, you can get cheat codes for this, and it also is supposed to enhance the graphics and that sort of thing. These items are becoming increasingly more popular for sale just because I believe this is maybe from 1988 or at least late 80s, early 90s. This stuff's getting old and harder to come by. So I sold this one for $20. Same thing. I'm not sure. The video game stuff, the fees are pretty high too, because again, the market's pretty flooded with that. Might be $3.50 in fees. Shipping, this will go first class. So shipping might be $4 to $5 depending on where it's going. First class used to be an easy thing to gauge because it wasn't zip code dependent. Well, they shifted to zip code dependence on first class a couple of years ago. So it's harder. Again, it makes it harder on free shipping items because you don't know exactly what the shipping is going to be until you sell it. And then when you sell it, because you have the zip code at that point. Anyway, all that to say, this will probably be about $5 to ship, $3.50 in fees. I've got $1 in it, so maybe $10 profit on that. This is another video gaming item. Don't pass these up. You might look at this and say, what is that? That's piece of garbage. It's not. It's what we like to call a dongle. And dongles are a thing in video gaming. It's basically the wireless sensor it can go to a controller, it can go to a guitar. Like with Rock Band, it can go to any sort of wireless thing. So this plugs into the What's this one for? I think it's PS2. This one plugs into the PS2, and then your Logitech wireless controller works with that. What happens is people have their controllers, they lose their dongles, they move, they forget about it. So the dongles have become increasingly more rare and expensive sometimes. This one sold for $18 and might make $10 on it. This is, I think this might be the last reel I have. I had bought a big fishing collection a couple of years ago, and this was the last. I don't know how this one got past me, but I found it as I was going through inventory. But it sold for $35. Not sure fees on that either. Maybe the fees would probably be about $5-6. Shipping will probably be also around $6. So I might make about $20 on that. And I only have $1 or $2 in that reel. So maybe about $20 profit on that. This is a set of Indiana Jones cards, and it's kind of neat because it's a complete set and it's a couple of the insert sets. And so this, I think I had listed for $40. I have 3 of them. So I was willing to make a deal on this. I put out an offer at $33 and someone took it. Fees will probably be about $5-6. Shipping, not sure exactly how that's going to go. Let's say $6 on shipping too. So, and I only have a couple of dollars in it, so maybe about $18 profit on that item. I've been going through, I had some boxes of train stuff. Good morning, Elvis. Elvis is not for sale. Some train stuff, a HO gauge, that's the tiny hobby gauge. I personally have O gauge trains, Lionel trains that are old that I keep and put out and that kind of thing. So I like it when I pick up HO because I'm not tempted to keep any of it and I sell all of it. But this is a really nice clean collection I pulled this out of. This is a train whistle, and this is a dumper, like it dumps logs on the log car and that kind of thing. The 2 together sold for $30, free shipping. So same thing, fees might be about $5, shipping $6-ish. I only have $1 in it, so I may make about $20 on that item. This is another Nintendo item. This is for N64. N64 became super popular a few years ago and is staying pretty high in popularity. So N64 stuff still doing well. This is an RF connector, so this is the thing you connect to TV with. What's special about this is that it's in the box, and people are starting to collect a lot more original equipment. The term is OEM, original equipment. So there's a couple reasons that people like original equipment. Generally with video game accessories, the original accessories are just much better than the third-party ones. So people want them because they're better, and they also want them just because they're original and more collectible. But what people are really starting to collect now is they want the packaging. So that's what was attractive about this. So it had the original packaging. It sold for $20. Might make $10 on that. This is a graphic equalizer audio source, and I've always sold electronic components. Stereo components, TVs, VCRs, that sort of thing. But I kind of go in phases because it takes a lot to test things. It takes space. And so I kind of go through phases where I go, okay, let's do electronics now. And then my kitchen just becomes giant electronic central for testing and that sort of thing. And also in my office, I have like a TV and VCR in there and different hookups. I can test smaller things in there. But if I have larger items, I do it in my kitchen. Anyway, I've been going through that. I've been selling a lot of things locally. I've sold a CD player and a couple of TVs locally just because they were heavy. But this equalizer sold for $60 plus shipping. I believe the fees, I think on electronic stuff, the fees only run about 10%. So it might only be let's say $6 to $8 in fees. Not sure what the shipping's going to be on it. I have $5 in it. So maybe net about $40 on that. This thing is super sweet. I picked this up from the original owner, I believe from the late 80s. This is a realistic Radio Shack stereo receiver in gorgeous condition. Like I said, it was the original owner. It's got the original manual. It even has the receipt, which is pretty cool. It's got that faux wood grain from the 80s. Anyway, works great. I was able to test it all. I actually bought the entire system they had, and this was one component of it. Had it listed at $200 plus shipping. I had well over 100 views on it. And one person, I made an offer to them at $175. They took it. So it's $175 plus shipping is what it sold for. I have $20 in the unit. Fees will probably be about $20. Not sure on shipping. It's going FedEx, might be about $30 for shipping. So let's just say maybe I'm netting on this maybe about $120. I'll let you know for sure after I do all of the shipping and calculations and stuff. So that's everything. I've got to go ahead now and get things packaged and ready to ship, and I'll be back in just a minute. Okay, I'm back. I have packaged everything for shipping for the Postal Service. I didn't pack this yet because that's going FedEx, and it's probably going to take me a good hour to package that well. I'll reinforce it all. It'll go in styrofoam in a nice big heavy-duty box. Those of you who are resellers know that the Postal Service and the other services as well have really cracked down on insurance claims. I've always packaged things really well regardless, but I just want to emphasize really important because it's just really hard to get an insurance claim paid these days. In fact, I've gone to self-insuring on items. And what that means is things I used to ship priority, even though maybe they could go first class, but maybe they had a value between $50 and $100. I'd pay a couple extra dollars and ship it priority just to get the insurance. I'm not doing that anymore because it's very difficult to, even if you have all the evidence in the world, it's very hard to get the Postal Service to pay you now. They've cracked down since COVID. I think there were a lot of scammers and stuff, so that's a shame. But so legitimate claims don't get paid. So self-insuring basically means I'm not going to go ahead and spend that $2. I'm just going to kind of mentally keep track of that $2 that I keep saving each time, and everything goes well. And then when something goes bad, well, I saved money over the last year, let's say, not paying for insurance, and that money's now going to go to true myself up if I do have a situation where they don't pay the claim. So anyway, these are the packages. One thing I wanted to point out too, when shipping books, a lot of people will use padded mailers. That's a really bad idea because in a padded mailer, it will not save the corners of the books. If it gets dropped on the corner, it's going to get smashed regardless of how much bubble wrap you put on it. I ship my books in these hard cardboard photo mailers, and you notice if I drop this on the corner, well, the corner of the book is a good 3-4 inches away from that, and I've had 0 complaints, 0 returns on my books over the last few years since I shifted to shipping that way. So that's just a little shipping tip. And one other thing I wanted to point out before we wrap up here is that this last year has been pretty difficult for resellers of vintage, fun items, non-necessities. I don't sell anything anybody needs, okay? Everything is vintage fun. It's fun stuff. It's quality stuff. It's stuff people want, but it's not cheese. It's not eggs. And we all know what's happened to cheese and eggs this last year. So it's been a lean year. And so I've made some changes. Some of the changes I was already making. I'm upping my minimum prices, especially on my free shipping items. The Postal Service just can't seem to raise rates fast enough, and they're raising them all the time. And so if you might have put something out 6 months ago, free shipping, and you get to a point where it's just not even going to be worth it. So I've moved to a minimum price of $20. I have some flexibility with that. I'll list something at $16 if it's tiny and easy to list, and I think will move really fast, and I can't really put it in a lot of any sort. And so I'll do that, but I'm moving to a $20 minimum because of inflation, because of what's happening with shipping, and also just because of space and time. Obviously, if I sell fewer items at a higher price, I can make the same amount of money and spend a little less time on it, so I'm moving towards that. I hope you enjoyed looking at what I sold this weekend. All in all, I believe it came out to around $280 of profit. That's after all expenses and costs and everything, fees. Not a bad weekend. That used to be a very typical weekend for me. This was a good weekend in the current climate, but things do seem to be picking up a little bit. So thanks for watching. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of content, and I'll try to get more out soon. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.